Public perception of the dark web centers on a lawless digital landscape populated by hackers, illegal weapons traders, and hidden drug markets. It is widely viewed as a domain forged by criminals or anti-government activists operating entirely outside the reach of the law. In reality, the core infrastructure of the dark web was built by the United States government. Specifically, researchers at the U.S. Navy, funded by DARPA, developed the technology to protect American intelligence operations overseas. The military engineered the ultimate privacy tool to safeguard its own secret communications. However, they quickly realized that keeping the technology a secret would render it practically useless for the very spies it was meant to protect. This problem traces back to the commercial internet of the mid-1990s. As the World Wide Web went mainstream, it became a goldmine for intelligence gathering, but it also created a massive liability. American officers and local assets needed a way to securely transmit data back home from foreign soil. The issue is that internet traffic leaves a permanent trail. If an asset in Moscow connects directly to a CIA server in Virginia, that digital path is visible to anyone monitoring the local network. Standard encryption protects the contents of a message. It acts like a padlock on an envelope, but leaves the sender and receiver information visible on the exterior. This exposes the connection to traffic analysis, allowing an adversary to see exactly who is communicating. In the world of espionage, an adversary doesn't need to read your mail to know you're a spy. Simply detecting a connection between a foreign citizen and an American agency is enough to burn an entire operation. For the Navy, the open internet was a lethal vulnerability. To solve this, mathematician Paul Syverson and his team at the Naval Research Laboratory designed a system called onion routing. Onion routing avoids direct connections. Instead, it wraps data in multiple layers of encryption and bounces that package through a randomized chain of intermediate relay servers before it reaches the final destination. Imagine a letter placed inside several envelopes. Each relay node in the chain only has the key to peel back one specific layer. As a result, any single node only knows the immediate previous stop and the next destination. No single point in the network ever sees the full path. This architecture mathematically severed the digital trail. Because no individual server held both the sender's identity and the receiver's location, traffic analysis became impossible. It was a technical triumph, but the researchers immediately spotted a new operational flaw. A secure network used exclusively by American intelligence agents creates its own signature. If only government assets use the network, an adversary doesn't need to trace the traffic. Simply seeing someone connect to this specific network identifies them as a target. To hide their secret communications, the military realized they needed a massive haystack. Their traffic had to be entirely indistinguishable from the daily web activity of millions of ordinary people. In 2002, the creators took a decisive step. They released their project, now known as Tor, as free open-source software for anyone in the world to download and use. This created the anonymity paradox. The only way for the U.S. government to achieve military-grade security was to surrender exclusive control of the tool to the general public. The public release succeeded. Tor became a lifeline for human rights groups, journalists, and political dissidents trying to evade surveillance in authoritarian countries. However, the same infrastructure provided a foundation for untraceable criminal activity. By 2011, it powered billion-dollar markets like the Silk Road, which facilitated the global trade of narcotics and stolen data. This is the dual-use reality of the technology. The code cannot distinguish between a dissident and a drug dealer. Any technical modification designed to expose a cartel would simultaneously strip the encryption protecting an activist from a dictatorship. The exact properties that make this technology essential for democracy are the same properties that empower illicit global trade. Both require total anonymity to survive. Today, this leaves the U.S. government in a state of internal conflict. The State Department continues to fund the Tor project to promote free speech and protect activists in oppressive regimes. Simultaneously, domestic law enforcement agencies like the FBI and DEA spend hundreds of millions of dollars trying to infiltrate and prosecute the criminal networks operating on that very same government-funded network. Attempting to shut the system down is no longer a viable option. The code is open source, globally distributed, and legally protected. Restricting it in the US would only push the network beyond American jurisdiction, while undermining the legitimate intelligence and human rights goals it still serves. The dark web represents a technology working exactly as designed. It is the irreversible byproduct of a tool built to be untraceable, safeguarding the intelligence assets it was created for and the criminal markets that followed.